Hello, this is Nigel and Nigel Gray, and I am here this evening with Rick Duarte. And Rick is very experienced in researching the directed energy weapon. This talk is very much on the history of directed energy weapons. And Rick is going to start off by giving a bit of a history and explain what directed energy weapons are and what they do and so forth. Would you be able to do that, Rick?
Yes, I'd be more than happy to, Nigel. Thank you.
Okay, welcome.
Okay, again.
Yeah, so please go ahead and yep.
Yeah, to begin with, I'm going to assume that a lot of people who are going to be watching this video are really not familiar with directed energy weapons and how they're used. Now, back on July 20th, you produced a video with Alana Freeland that covered directed energy weapons and its use on people. And in the course of that video, those directed energy weapons can create a number of physical ailments in an individual. And there was a fellow who I know well, who's a Hall of Fame member with Weather Wars International by the name of...
Hello?
Can you hear me?
It broke up there. By the name of, sorry?
Yeah, his name was Matt Landman.
Okay.
Ladman.
Yep.
And Alana Freeland told me in a personal message that he suffered a heart attack here recently in the past month or so, in producing your video. And, that was shocking. There was another lady who had a website, which is now, from what I understand, defunct, or it's been taken offline, by the name of Suzanne Maher, M-A-H-E-R.
Yep.
And she suffered from some personal illness as well, too. Now, here, a little over a month ago, my body ended up in the hospital. Now, I'm not saying that I was a victim of a directed energy weapons attack, that disrupted my body symptoms, but given the history of my health over the past 66 years, I'm inclined to believe that, yes, I was being attacked and was attacked. Now, the reason I say that is because I'm not one to get ill. Over the course of years, I've overcome a lot of different illnesses. When I was born, back in 1952, I was born asthmatic. And the reason I was born asthmatic was because the epidural at that time was called nitrous oxide. And that was the epidural of that time. Now, if you give a woman during the course of birth nitrous oxide, which is laughing gas, that not only affects the woman giving birth, but it also affects the child as well, too.
Of course.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just common sense. So anytime that I came across a smell in my environment that mimicked the nitrous oxide that I had at birth, I go through an asthma attack. And before the age of 10, I literally died 3 times. And it was only because of doctors who made home visits at that time and gave me, an injection of, I think it was called epinephrine or something like that.
Okay.
Basically, yeah, what it was is it was basically It was to pump up the adrenaline in the body to basically, you know, pop you through that. So that actually worked, but those were some scary times. So for those who have been on the other side, meaning, how do you want to say, who have died but come back?
Yep.
I know what that's like. And not only did I experience that 3 times before the age of 10, I was in a couple car accidents during that period of time, up until about the age of 18 years old, where I had actual out-of-body experiences. You know, the last one came in 1970, and I actually saw in advance a car accident happening. And I was in a Volkswagen Beetle. I was sitting in the back seat, and there were 2 girls in front of me. One was Susan, who was driving. The other one was Susan, who was in the passenger seat. So I saw this coming into play. And, well, my first instinct was to wrap my arms around them like a seatbelt, because at that time, seatbelts weren't mandatory in the United States.
Right.
Okay, so we got her Volkswagen Beetle. I told her, I said, Susan, pull over to the curb, pull over to the curb. And she says, why? I said, don't ask why, just do it. Because I could see what was going to happen in advance. Now, that might be, you know, a little strange to a lot of people, but, you know, spiritually being aware, it's not uncommon. A lot of people have these, what you want to say, abilities to be able to see the future before it happens. I just happen to be one of those. Now, I'm not saying it works all the time. It works some of the time. And in this particular case, it was extremely important. So Susan actually pulled over on the curb, and this a large sedan with 4 people on it on a rainy road, rainy, curvy road, slammed into us broadsided, and it literally destroyed the car. And I can remember me being 10 feet out of the car, over on the sidewalk, looking about 10 or 20 feet above the accident scene, and realizing, well, my body hadn't been hurt. Well, since my body hadn't been hurt, I basically came right back into my body. And the present, yeah, this is no joke. It's real.
Oh yeah.
And I came back into my body in the present time, and I was spitting glass out of my mouth. I was shaking it off my hair, and literally, what do you want to say? Digging it out of my eyes. You know, all the pebbled glass that was there.
Yeah.
And both Susans, both the driver and the passenger, looked back at me, and they said, "You saved our lives." And at that particular time, I didn't quite understand that. It took me several days to understand exactly what had happened. But yeah, I had done that. But they were both aware that that was done spiritually,
sure,
as well as physically.
Sure.
And to this day, both girls, both Susans, have acknowledged me that I saved their lives, and they went on to live another, well, both are still alive today, so it's like 40, 45, maybe 50 years.
Wow.
Yeah, close to 50 years now.
Wow.
You know? So, you know, there's something to be said for that, you know? But anyway, I've gotten off of the track a little bit, but I wanted to let the audience know that if I start coughing from time to time, or I lose my voice, I'll get it back. You just have to bear with me on this. It's, I'm still going through the after effects of the, what I truly believe was a directed energy weapons attack on me about a month ago. And the only reason I'm saying that is I don't get ill. It's never been a part of my life, really, for nearly 50 years. You know, I don't get headaches. I don't get flus. I don't get colds. I had a great immune system. So, you know, something else is going on out there. And you and I talked about this, you know, a few weeks ago, or maybe several days ago, that how do I want to say this? That a directed energy weapons attack was done on me to basically put me out of commission so I wouldn't bring forth the truth with what's going on with directed energy weapons.
Yeah.
You covered that in your video with Alana Freeland. You covered that in your video with Alana Freeland on July 20th.
Yeah. I was determined to get the information out there when that happened. So I just went for it, and I thought, to hell with it if they attack me, because this is just, it's got to go out. So I just rode over the whole thing. But I have experienced that there was some attack, nothing like what happened to you, nothing like it. But I got a cough which happened very similar to your cough, and it seems to have occurred about that same time. It's been difficult to shake off. And so, and a couple of other things which I won't go into, but yeah. So I know very much what you're talking about.
That's good. So let's get on with the show.
Good.
So it's going to be brief, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more. First of all, for those who are not aware or fully up to date with directed energy weapons, I'll give a brief overview. Now, directed energy weapons. A directed energy weapon, which is also known as DEW, D-E-W, is a system using a beam of concentrated electromagnetic energy, including but not limited to laser and high-powered microwave system, or atomic or subatomic particles, primarily as a directed means. This is very important. Primarily as a means to kill, injure, disable, or temporarily incapacitate people, or destroy, damage, or temporarily incapacitate property or material. Now, with that being said, that pretty much covers the introduction with directed energy weapons. Now, in the course of my research, which has been ongoing for, oh God, since I came on with Facebook in 2011, I was a latecomer as far as that goes. I thought, you know, like most people, you know, Facebook was going to be a social media site. And, you know, it's a nice way to say hello to friends and family and get to meet new people and find out what's going on in their life. Well, yeah. So during the course of my, travels through Facebook, I realized that there were a lot of other posts that people were putting up that had absolutely nothing to do with, if you will call, family, social media, okay? And that piqued my interest. And one of the first ones had to do with chemtrails. Okay, so now, what's chemtrails? Well, I had been in the landscape business for years, and I noticed things had changed, you know, in the skies over the course of time. So I get interested in that. So I found out about chemtrails. I said, oh, that's very interesting. So subsequently I figured out, okay, well, the weather's being changed, the sky is being changed because of chemtrails. And it just evolved from there. And without elaborating any further, I'll just bring that up to present time. And when I say up to present time, we advance ourselves several years later. And now I'm, with your encouragement, back in 2016, September, actually it was August 31st, 2016, you said to me, Rick, you've been tracking this thing called Weather Wars for quite some time now. What you need to do is start your own website. And I said, no, that's too much bother. And so I slept on it that night. Well, the next morning, September 1st, 2016, I started Weather Wars International. And it's probably the greatest experience that I've ever had in my entire life. If I had trophies on my shelf, which I've had plenty of sports trophies over the years, and a number of other type of awards from business and industry that I've been involved with. But if I had to rate the greatest achievement and the greatest award that I've ever gotten, it's the creation of Weather Wars International. And I have to really thank you, Nigel, for making that happen. It's like you gave me a new lease on life, and I appreciate that very much.
Nice.
In fact, we're not even a full 2 years old, and already we have a worldwide audience. And I don't think there's a continent or a nation represented by the members who have not been represented. But in those 2 years, we have gotten over 16,300 members. Now, for a group website, that is absolutely phenomenal. Okay?
Yeah.
By anybody. In fact, in the month of July, Weather Wars International averaged over 1,300 new members a month. That's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, I saw that even it went from 15,000 to over 16,000 in the last couple of weeks.
Exactly. You're the one who shared it with me. You've got over 15,000 members. That's when I was in the hospital during that time.
Yeah.
And I was astounded, and ever since then it's exploded. Now the reason it exploded even more, and knock on wood, I don't know if you can hear the knocking on wood, but I came back, and the first thing I did was come online, and God knows how many people I just approved for membership. But the main thing that happened during that time, oh God, it's coincidental. It is. It's mind-blowing. But we had the fires over in Greece.
Yeah.
Which you recall, and I'm sure a lot of other people as well too. And it didn't take me that long, maybe an hour, going over to Google and pulling up images of the fires over in Greece back in, I think it was July, it was pretty much July 2018. Now, if I remember correctly, I pulled up, oh God, at least 60 forensic pictures of the fires over in Greece, which, if you look at the photos, you can tell it was done by directed energy weapons, because they resemble or mimic, if you will, the directed energy weapons fires that were used on 9/11. I mean, we're talking about cars that are torched while you still have all the greenery of the trees around them unscathed. That's unprecedented. If you have a wildfire, they burn everything and anything in their path.
Yep.
In cars, the cars, yeah, they'll get scorched, but they don't get torched. And when I talk about torched, I'm talking about windshields and aluminum wheels being melted. You can actually see the melted aluminum on the ground. Well, that doesn't happen with wildfires because wildfires at the maximum only burn at a little over 1,400 degrees. In order to melt glass or aluminum or steel, you need to have a sustained temperature of over 2,500 degrees.
Right.
Now, when I talk about a sustained temperature, that means a furnace-like temperature. That when you have to actually put a car in a furnace in order to melt the glass, the steel, and the aluminum.
Now
that does not happen on a wildfire.
Now there's a recent image of 3/4 of a house being just demolished, razed to the ground, and the other quarter of it is still standing undamaged. Now that means that that bit that was razed to the ground must have been done within a matter of seconds.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can reduce a house literally to ashes down to its basement level, and that's been shown time to time again. When I say reduced to ashes, I think it was the Thomas Fire out in California, which happened in October, November, or December of last year. Okay, and there was a Kmart. A Kmart is a what do you want to call it? It's a store where they sell different products inside there. Okay, it's like a
everyone's familiar with that here, so that's okay. I mean,
good.
Yeah.
Good. So, this is a structure that was rectangular in shape, and that whole building was reduced down to ashes. Reduced down to ashes. Now, when I say ashes, I want people to get the concept is that you take a rectangular shape, you prop it upright bricks on all sides in a rectangular shape, and that whole building came down to an ash pile like you would see in your fireplace.
Yeah.
That does not happen in a wildfire. And guess what? Surrounding that Kmart was literally, I wouldn't say it's a forest, but it was surrounded by a bunch of trees that were still green.
Yeah.
Well, if it's truly a wildfire, there has to be some damage to those trees, but there wasn't. So you can tell it was, directed energy weapon.
Now, what we're talking, just to make it clear, sorry to interrupt, but what I wanted to say is, because you haven't mentioned, I don't recall, that directed energy weapon, we're talking about laser.
We're talking about what?
Lasers.
Oh, lasers. Yeah, I'll get to that in a second.
Good. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, well, lasers is a form of directed energy weapon. That's number one.
Yep.
Another form of directed energy weapon would be lightning. Now, a lot of people are not aware that the technology has improved so much that primarily the U.S. military can take a simple lightning strike, which happens to be erratic in shape, straighten it out, and direct it to a particular object. Now, that's pretty phenomenal in itself. That's how far the technology has gone. In the case of 9/11, you can harness the energy from a hurricane to produce a directed energy weapon. Now, when I speak about 9/11, many people, I'd probably say 0.1% of the entire population on this planet are not aware that a directed energy weapon was used to bring down the Twin Towers. Now, the directed energy weapon that was used, or the energy from that was used on the Twin Towers, came from Hurricane Erin, E-R-I-N. And it's very interesting that Hurricane Erin, which was in the Atlantic, basically, quote unquote, stalled out about 50 miles off the New York City coastline.
Yep.
And if you go back, not if you go back, if you reference Dr. Judy Wood has done a number of videos that are available online, which people can easily access. But she also wrote a book called "Where Did the Towers Go?" Okay.
Okay.
Which I have a copy of. Now, it's not a cheap thing to buy. It costs $60. But I'll tell you what, you know, she lays it out there. It's like, where did the towers go? Hurricane Erin, they tapped into the energy and they basically pulverized the Twin Towers. Now, to give it a description of that, there's a lot of pictures available online regarding 9/11 and the pulverization of the Twin Towers, which basically came down at free fall speed.
Yep.
Now, when we call about free fall speed, we're talking about demolition, because buildings don't collapse in a straight line unless there's demolitions done to that building in advance. So that takes years. So incorporating the wiring of the Twin Towers along with the energy that was tapped into by Hurricane Erin, that's what brought the Twin Towers down. Now, if you get Dr. Judy Wood's book, Where Did the Towers Go? Like I said, it was about $60. You'll find out that her argument holds up more weight than you can ever imagine. So, bringing down the Twin Towers with directed energy weapon was, if you will, the first use, or thereabouts the first use of directed energy weapons to, what do you want to say?
Create an effect.
Create an effect. That's good. Thank you. Now, here's where I want to get into the history a little bit, Nigel.
I know. I want you to tell us about the Highway of Death as well.
Oh, I'm going to get into that in just. In fact, that was the next one on the subject. Now, not the next one, but the one after.
Okay, bring it on.
Yeah, I'm ready, dude. I'm ready. I got all my show notes together. I tell you what, it took me an hour to get all this stuff together. It really did. But here's the thing. I already talked about 9/11, which took place on September 11th, 2001. But prior to that, 10 years previously, there were two other instances of directed energy weapons being used. Now, the one was in the first Gulf War, which was known as Desert Storm or the Persian Gulf War, okay?
Yep.
And here we deal with, here's where we deal with what, and there's a video on this one. It's, I'll tell you what, if this doesn't give you chills, you know, right down to the bone, something is totally wrong with you. But it's called the Highway of Death. There's plenty of pictures, there's plenty of videos. There's a couple videos which are better than others, and I've got copies of those, you know. But here's the thing, that the United States wanted Iraq to basically throw up its arms and just retreat. Well, shit. Yeah, they were retreating, as well as, and this is estimated, okay? When I say estimated, because nobody knows the true figures, they really don't. But it's estimated between 20 and 50,000 Iraqi soldiers, civilians, men, women, children, were retreating down this road in Iraq.
Yep.
And I estimate it probably had to deal with, you know, several miles long. Well, during the course of that, it was a pigeon shoot. And what they did, they used directed energy weapons to not only disable and torch the vehicles, but they also vaporized Iraqi soldiers, women, and children. When I say vaporized, I literally mean vaporized. Here you are, here you're not. You just go up in a puff of smoke. There's no bones, there's no teeth, there's nothing to remember you by. You're gone. You're part of the atmosphere. Now, if that isn't some scary shit, I don't know what is.
Agreed.
Okay? So, like I said, that's all there. Now, there's a fellow I wanted to get in on this interview. His name is Jamie Lee. Now, Jamie Lee might be familiar. The name might not be familiar, but his website is. He has a YouTube website, which is called aplaintruthinfo.com. Now, excuse me, that cough's coming back up again.
Yeah.
Jamie lives out on the West Coast in California. So he's been privy to all these directed energy weapons wildfires for a number of years. And he's posted that. So over the past week, we've spoke 2 or 3 times. And I just wish we could have got him on. But obviously, we've had technical difficulties here, so we weren't able to do that. But Jamie is a former Wall Street insider, okay? Now, why is this important that he's a former Wall Street insider? Well, he was privy to what was going on in Wall Street. And back in 1991, when he started to latch on to directed energy weapons, one of the first things he did, he called his friends on Wall Street. He said, is this a directed, well, I'm going to paraphrase, because I have to paraphrase. He asked his friends on Wall Street, he said, was this done on purpose? And the answer was yes. And we make money off of doing it. And he says, well, what do you mean you make money off of doing it? He says, well, disaster capitalism sells. If you can hedge your bets and say something's going to happen to a particular area and they're going to suffer consequences, if you want to put up money and cover your losses, okay, it'll take you $1,000, $2,000, $500, $5,000 to do that. Well, you know, farmers and people and businesses would put up the $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 and hedge their bets. And in 6 months period of time, if that catastrophe happened, well, then you get paid off whatever the damage was done. So, you know, let's say you put up $5,000 to say, my grape crops, which produce wine in Sonoma, California, is going to be devastated by some sort of quote unquote natural catastrophe. I want it covered. So that person's $5,000 investment covers his crops, which might be worth $1.5, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million, $5 million. So he makes money off of that. And because the Wall Street investors have also done that, they reap the rewards as well as the investor does. So does that make a little sense to you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Now, so moving along, I want to cover this. This is directed energy weapons history. I've already covered the first Gulf War, which took place in August 1990 through February 91. Then, you know, going back to Jamie Lee, he's the one who opened my eyes about the Oakland Hills, California, directed energy weapons fire in 1991, which I was not aware of. A couple of days ago, I was able to Google that Oakland Hills, we call it the firestorm of 1991, and I pulled up probably at least a dozen pics. And sure enough, that was a directed energy weapons, you know, attack. You could see that from, you know, the cars and the buildings that were devastated. Now we come up to 10 years later, we go to the Twin Towers, which I've already covered with Hurricane Aaron and Dr. Judy Wood's book, Where Did the Towers Go? There's a 10 years gap. There's something missing there. And when I said, when you have a 10 years gap and they don't use directed energy weapons, I know there's something missing, but I can't tell what it is right now based upon my current research.
Sure.
Okay. Now, there's even a wider gap of about 13 years. Now, this is where it gets very interesting because things really ramp up at this point. In September 2014, we have the weed fire in California, another instance of directed energy weapons attack. Forensic pictures prove the point. Then, in October 2014, a month later, we have what's known as Israel's Iron Beam that was used against Palestine and Gaza, which I just posted a couple days ago.
Okay.
Okay, they call it the Iron Beam. It's a directed energy. Okay, now we get into August of 2015. We have Injure, China. You remember this, Kiwi, because we went back and forth on this 3 years ago.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, quote unquote, where they got in China had a quote unquote chemical plant explosion.
Weren't there were about like 4 or 5 of them around that period, weren't there?
Exactly.
In different locations in China.
Yeah, exactly.
And they all had the same characteristics.
Yeah, in fact, if I remember correctly, there are quote unquote at least 3 chemical plant explosions within a couple months period of time. All
a complete coincidence, right?
Oh, yeah. Total coincidence. If you take a look at the forensic pictures, chemical plant explosions don't go for miles and melt cars. They really don't.
Yeah.
Now, after August 2015, we come up to May of 2016 with the Fort McMurray fire up in Canada, Alberta, Canada. That's number 7 on the list.
Okay.
Then in November 2016, we have the Gatlinburg, Tennessee. It's also known as the Great Smoky Mountains fire in November of 2016. Same thing. Forensic pictures prove it's a directed energy weapons attack. And I'm not going to repeat myself anymore. Everything I'm going to tell you from here on out is a directed energy weapons attack.
Okay.
So we finish up with Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Then we go to Portugal and Spain in October 2017.
Yep.
Then last year, in the fall of last year, we go to the Santa Rosa fire out in California in October. We go to the San Diego Lilac fire in December 2017. We go to the Thomas fire in December 2017. We go to the Pawnee fire in California, June 2018. Then we go to the fires out in Nigeria. Nigeria. Well, why would Nigeria be attacked with energy weapons? Well, directed energy weapons. Well, if you cover international affairs like I do, Nigeria is a nation in Africa that the United States wants to dearly control because it's one of the major oil producers in Africa, okay? So if you can depopulate or reorganize the population away from where the oil is being produced, well, you're going to get that oil basically for free, pennies on the dollar. And they've been doing that for years. They've just ramped it up. So that's Nigeria, June 2018. Then, of course, in July, we had the Athens, Greece directed energy weapons fire. One of the albums I put together, I think it's pretty close to 80, 90, maybe even 100 forensic pictures of what happened out there during those fires, directed energy fires in Greece. And that one album, at last count, got over 3,600 shares. I've never had a post that has gotten that many shares. So the interest has been piqued around the world, especially in Greece.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, after Athens, Greece in July 2018, there's 3 more, which just happened here recently. One is the Carr fire, C-A-R-R fire out in California in July 2018, followed up by the Cranston fire, California 2018, July. And then here recently, in the past couple of days, the Mendocino fires in California, July 2018. So those are the 18 directed energy weapon fires that I've been able to catalog over the past couple of years.
Okay. Yep. Yep. So if you have said what you were going to say on the history there was a couple of things that I'd like to mention that I think are very pertinent to this conversation.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Hey, Nigel.
Yeah.
Nigel, go ahead and talk. I'll listen. I've got to step out just for a moment, but I'm listening, okay?
Okay.
Go ahead and do the narration.
So here I go. So, okay, if you go to the lockheedmartin.com website, Lockheed Martin, There is a direct quote on their page. This is on laser weapon systems. I'm just looking at it as I go. Laser weapon systems is probably the page. How did I get to this? And its headline is Harnessing the Power of Lasers. Lockheed Martin, and I'm reading off the website here, Lockheed Martin is moving at light speed to position these capable systems for success on the battlefield. We have developed innovative fiber lasers, sophisticated beam control and auxiliary technology. Sounds lovely, doesn't it? Anyway, I'll skip down to the meaty stuff, shall I? There is a quote that's headlined, highlighted as a quote. And this is the bit that I wanted to read to you. Our fiber lasers operate with an efficiency that generates less heat and exists in a smaller package, allowing easier incorporation into various defense platforms. Our Aladdin laser has operated in the field for 2 years with no need for realignment, proving both the lethality, like lethal, and the reliability of our solutions. Dr. Rob, and that was a quote from Dr. Rob Afzal, A-F-Z-A-L, Senior Fellow, Laser Sensors and Systems. So they are already bragging on their website that they have a laser that's been operating in the field for 2 years. Now, what do they define as the field? So, you know, that means that it's out there in the environment, it's being used. So that was the one thing I wanted to mention there. And there's another very important thing, and let me just find that. I think it's this one. No, it's not it. Let me just find it. I've got it on my computer here at the moment. Here we go. Okay. And this is something that we were just, I found recently, and I passed over to you, Rick, and it was this global market outlook for directed energy weapons. And this was...
Yeah, that was incredible. That was a great find on your behalf. That blew me away when you gave that to me.
Yeah, so I just want to take a couple of bits out of that so that people realize this isn't some conspiracy theory. It is not. This is what we're talking about is hard fact. Now, just to quickly go over this, it says Global Market Outlook 2017 to 2023, directed energy weapons. And it says, according to Statistics MRC, the global directed energy weapons market is expected to grow from 8.12 billion in 2016, so it was already that big in 2016, to reach 41.97 billion by 2023.
That's incredible.
Yeah, with a CAGR, which is compound annual growth rate. That means like you add every year, you add the interest onto the interest, and so you're building at 26.4%. Anyone who's an investor knows those are good interest rates.
Yeah, you know, if I was unethical, I'd definitely put my bucks right there.
Absolutely. I had a mutual fund once that didn't even go that good, you know. Now
I'd like to get a 26% return on my money in a couple years' time.
26%, and that's compound interest though. This is what I'm saying is that means that in 1 year you make, let's say you make 10% out of $100. So you've now made $10 from that $100 in 1 year. But the next year, the interest is on $110 because the interest is being added. So now you're getting 10% interest on that $110 that is now sitting there. That's what compound interest is. Now, okay, I'm just covering this very quickly because this is you know, there's so much here, and I haven't got much to say here. But the other part that really is interesting about this is it's discussing what directed energy weapons are, and it says product types covered: non-lethal weapons, lethal weapons. Now, non-lethal weapons is the type that they can use for crowd control. It's where they send a microwave technology, microwave out, and they can hit a crowd with it, and people scatter because their skin is burning. And they run for, and if they don't get out of it, their skin really is burning, and it's a lot of pain. That's non-lethal. Now, and then it goes on. Sorry, Rick. And then it goes on to lethal weapons, and then it says applications covered: defence and homeland security. Now, this is the bit I wanted to read though, and I won't be. I'll just be a moment. But it says technologies covered. The first point is high power microwave technology. Second one, particle beam weapons, and third one, high energy laser technology.
Yep.
So those are the three classifications they have in this document. And hey, there could be a lot more subcategories within that. I'm 100% certain of.
Oh yeah.
So, and then it says end users covered: land vehicles, ship-based directed energy weapons, gunshot, and airborne.
Now let me interject something here, Nigel.
Sure.
Is a lot of people are not aware. They're not aware. They're assuming that directed energy weapons are being used by airplanes. Okay, and that's not the case. There are so many different forms of directed energy weapons, it would astound a person. Now, a directed energy weapon can not only be used by an airplane in the sky, can also be land-based in a stationary position, like a building, if you will, and a harp-like antenna array, which has been substantially reduced to a radar system that is probably no bigger than your home.
Sure.
It can also be operated off of vehicle Humvees. They can be motor coached, RV, if you will.
UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles as well, drones.
They can be done on drones, that's correct. They can also be done on mobile homes. They can also be done in space as well, too.
Right.
Okay? I mean, it runs the whole gamut. I mean, for a person to be fixated on directed energy weapons coming from airplanes, well, they're a little bit clueless and they really haven't studied the subject very much. I've posted a number of times on national where all these directed energy weapons can not only be created in space, be created from a satellite space. They can be created from an airplane. They can be created from a unmanned vehicle on the ground. They can also be created by, what did you say here? Drones.
Yep.
I mean, you know, whatever you can imagine, the delivery system for a directed energy weapon system is out there. So for one person to say, oh, that directed energy weapon was done by a plane in the sky, well, you can't say that. I can't say that. I've never said it. I have no clue on how the directed energy weapons fire took place, or who produced it, or what produced it.
Yeah.
You know, because there is no physical evidence, no forensic evidence.
Yeah, can I say something again here?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, so understand that in 2016, it was over an $8 billion a year industry internationally.
Right.
So even in this report, it says high energy laser systems covered: fiber laser, free electron laser, solid state laser, chemical laser, you know. So you can understand there's a whole technology here that spreads, and there's so much to it. And now, and further to this, the report that this stock market report is selling. Like this was a newspaper or a media article going out promoting a report for investors. The report, the actual report, is 110 pages long and costs $4,500 just to get the report.
That's amazing. Yeah, yeah, I saw that.
I don't have a spare $4,500, or I might buy one.
Yeah, neither do I.
But you know, just to throw at it. But this is the thing that I want to reiterate in our interview as well, is that there was a post recently that somebody put up on one of my pages, and it was from a website that was trying to debunk this idea of directed energy weapons, and it was saying, well, the houses were made of dry wood and the trees were green, so they had a lot of moisture in them, so they didn't burn. I mean, yeah, it's just incredible. But here's the point, and we were talking about this yesterday, Rick, and I wanted to mention this, is that there are many people who have, and generally as beings, we don't have, a lot of people don't have a very high ability to confront, to face things, and to face, in particular, to face evil. And,
exactly.
And this stuff is really evil. And so when a report comes along that says, well, there's no such things as directed energy weapons, but houses are dry and trees are wood and have moisture, and so that's why the trees aren't burning, and people jump at that because it's a safe solution. It's like, oh, that explains it. Oh, okay, good. Geo-weapons don't exist. And so they'll jump to the safe solution and refuse to look at what's really going on, which is that these exist. What I'm saying here is this is a $4,500, 110-page report being put out to investors to invest in this new growing technology. It's already an $8 billion industry and growing fast. And you're trying to tell me that it doesn't exist, or that it's all in my mind, or I'm a conspiracy? Get off my page, get out of my life, because I don't have time for people like that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kiwi. You know, it's like, you know, when people need an answer, you know, to the question of why, the first thing that comes up is what's presented. And it's absolutely phenomenal on people who will suck up to the answer why that's given to them by mainstream media. And I've never been able to, even before I knew about mainstream media and propaganda, I realized that there were outpoints in the narrative mainstream media was given to me on TV. You know, they might tell me that, let's say, well, what's his name? Jim something. He's the creator of the Muppets. Well, you know, they might have said, well, the Cookie Monster was a pedophilia. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, you got proof of that? Yeah. You know, we heard Jim talking about it firsthand. Okay, well, that fills the gap and people don't investigate it any further. Well, that's kind of stupid. And when I say it's kind of stupid, it is stupid. Because people, once they fill that vacuum of the question of why, they don't go any further than that. They don't investigate. They don't dig into what's going on.
Which is scary, because just today I saw a report that Steven Spielberg was pedophile, and you know, with no supporting evidence, nothing. And it's like, you know, it's like, how do we really know that?
Yeah, we don't know that. You know, that's just somebody throwing shit up on the wall and see if it sticks.
Exactly.
You know, and I don't pay attention to that bullshit. You know, because it is bullshit. You know, it might be true, it might not. But the fact of the matter is, if you can't back it up with evidence, your accusations are absolutely worthless.
Yeah, yeah, totally. So,
you're just capitalizing on sensationalism.
Yeah, yeah, totally. So, yeah. Well, that really kind of was something I really wanted to get out there. Is this? You know, we've got to realize this is real. This is happening, and these people who are kind of going, well, that was what I was going to say as well. Is I've had quite a few people saying, like, you know, wildfires were directed energy weapon fires. Oh, why would they do that? And you know, just that question is so irritating. Why would they do it? You know, firstly, you have to understand that the people who are using this kind of stuff, they don't care who dies. They don't care if they destroy a whole neighborhood. It doesn't bother them whatsoever. These are evil people.
Yeah, that's called collateral damage.
Yeah. So for them, they might have been just testing out the weapon on a Sunday afternoon. See, yeah, we got that one going good. and it's nothing more than that. They don't care.
I agree with you. They are totally callous individuals.
Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna let you go ahead and talk for a couple minutes. I've got to excuse myself. I'll be right back. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
So keep talking.
Yeah. Well, I pretty much filled you know what I was going to say, but yeah, like you really have to get a grip on that. These people don't care about that. You know, quite honestly, they could have been using a directed energy weapon bushfire as a demonstration to sell it to Saudi Arabia or to sell it to India, whatever. Now, having said that, this market report covers, it says the regions covered. In other words, this is who they're selling to and so forth. It doesn't say specifically they're selling to these countries, but it says regions covered. So whatever you take that to mean, North America, US, Canada, Mexico, Europe, Germany, France, Italy, UK, Spain, rest of Europe, Asia Pacific, Japan, China, India, Australia, New Zealand, rest of Asia Pacific, rest of the world. I'm not joking you, this actually says it. Rest of the world, Middle East, Brazil, Argentina, South Africa, Egypt. And you know, as I say, down the bottom of the report, it's saying $4,500 for the report. You know, this is just the brief on the whole thing. But hey, you can contact James Lamb and get your own copy if you like for $4,500. Yeah. So this report came out, and by the way, don't think, oh yeah, this was just a swept up report that was put on the internet to confuse people or something like this. I am telling you, I have come across about probably a good 10 different versions of this same report on websites all over the place, all stock market websites. And I mean, they're coming out practically daily. It's spreading all over the place. This is the latest hot item to invest in. So, you know, from an $8.12 billion industry in 2016, it's expected to grow to $41.97 billion by 2023. those are very exact figures too. You know, it's like we're talking about something that's been calculated out carefully to go, okay, well, you know, at this point, you know, we're looking at a growth rate of this much, and you know, they've done their homework, they've done their figures. So you know, this is not make believe. This is not a fairy tale or a you know, a story we're telling. This is real life and what's happening. So yeah, that's what I have to say about it. Now, I see you back now, Rick. There was one thing I just thought of to add to that, is that as of a couple of days ago, there was a report. There are about 30 to 40 New Zealand firefighters being sent to California to help fight the fires. And yes, wait. And plus Department of Conservation staff. Well, we all know how ethical those guys are, and some other possibly some other staff of government departments in New Zealand, all going over there. Now, why would they do that? Look out, New Zealand. We're probably going to have a heat wave and some more directed energy weapon fires here this summer. And I've said what I had to say.
Well, yeah, and you know, when we talked earlier about that, I tend to agree with you as well too. I think your intuition is spot on.
Yeah, it's you know, and hey, maybe I'm wrong, and hopefully I am, but you know, it's like certainly it's just a sticky point. It sticks the attention. Why would they suddenly go, you know, send those people over there? You know, it's not like we have a share fireman agreement with the US or anything. Sometimes we do that with Australia, but as far as I know, that's pretty much, it doesn't happen very much with the US. And hell, don't the US have enough firefighters?
No, they don't.
Are you serious or what?
Oh, I'm definitely serious. I mean, just out in California, there's over 100 different wildfires that are burning out there. They don't have enough manpower to cover all of them. They have to bring in firefighters from several different states and other countries to help battle that fire. They just don't have the manpower. And that's just in California.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to talk about the fires that are going on in Oregon and Washington, over in Greenland, Portugal, France. You know, it's just like, it's freaking ridiculous.
Yeah.
They do not have enough manpower. And the fact of the matter is, the manpower, even if they did have it, they cannot control a wildfire, quote unquote, wildfire, that is a directed energy weapons fire. Because over the years, and when I say over the years, let's say the past 10 years, in regards to California, well, the skies have been sprayed with chemtrails. Now, in chemtrails, you have aluminum, barium, strontium. Aluminum speaks pretty mightily with itself. Strontium and barium are basically, which is, they're nuclear particulates.
Right.
The aluminum, if you spread that, we're talking about nanoparticles. Nanoparticles you can't even see. You breathe them in every single day. And that's been going on for at least a good 20 years.
Yep.
And especially more so in the past 7 years, 2011, that I'm aware of, at least in my area, that when those nanoparticles come in contact, not only in the air, but they come in contact with trees and brush, they basically are hold on one second, they are kindled to a directed energy fire. Which means all you have to do is light a match and everything just blows up. like you wouldn't believe.
Well, one thing we've been seeing in those fires over there is is the flames are like we're talking about 100 and 150 feet high and so forth, which just wouldn't happen in a normal forest fire. It just doesn't. It just does not happen. And
that's exactly right. Yeah.
So, and that's the aluminium and like as you say, the chemtrails, the barium, strontium, and so forth. That's the effect it has, where it's actually now you're actually getting sections of atmosphere on fire.
Exactly. Basically what the fuel, it's like not back, charcoal. Now, to get that fire started, you have to put a little fuel on there and light a match. Well, that's exactly what's happening out there. The aluminium, as you pronounce it, or aluminum, nanoparticles that are actually put out, well, that's the fuel. To light a match, everything goes up. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, we're getting so much chemtrails here, and what I've noticed in the last months is that we don't see the chemtrails anymore, because I believe that they're dropping them from high altitude now and probably off the coast so that they don't get seen. But it's definitely there, and the reason why I say that is we live 30. We can drive 30 minutes and we're at the mountains. We have the mountains outside. You can look out our kitchen window and see the mountains. Okay, but for weeks at a time, you can't see them anymore. And you know why? Not because it's all clouded over or anything like that, but because it's so freaking hazy, you can't see them.
Yeah, we see that same thing here, Kiwi.
It's just become so hazy. Now, never before has it been like that, where there's been that amount of haze for that long, for just continuously. That's chemtrails.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Like I said, we see the same thing here as well too. In fact, I keep a desk calendar here, and I record the temperatures and the weather and the precipitation every single day, just with regards to this area. Now, as I might have said before, but I'll say it again, July was the wettest month we've ever had in history in the state of Maryland, USA. Well, I look back on my records, and it's just like July is supposed to be summer. And during the summer, it doesn't freaking rain. If it does rain, in history, it's been sporadic.
Right.
But you don't get torrential rain in the month of July. And here we are it's on August 4th, where we're speaking today, and I've got torrential rains going on in the background.
Yeah.
I've got the patio door open. I can frickin' hear it.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen during August. It just frickin' doesn't. And it's continuing to happen. Why does it happen? Who the frick knows? It's just like people are not aware of what's going on in their environment. They just chalk it up to another act of Mother Nature. Mother Nature, or, oh, I like this one. Oh, catch this. Climate change. Oh, I love that phrase. Climate change. It's due to climate change. Well, shit, Kiwi and everybody else. Climate change has been going on for over 4.5 billion years on this planet.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? All of a sudden there's something new called climate change? Climate change has been going on for billions of years. Give me a freaking break.
Yeah, totally.
As you can tell, I'm a little bit passionate about what I, do.
We're gonna have to start wrapping up this interview too.
Hey, that's fine. Go ahead and say what you have to say as far as wrapping it up.
Yep. We'll do. So, what can I say? Thank you for your input on this whole thing, and for the information you've shared, Rick, because I know you've been through a hell of a lot, and I know health-wise you still aren't on top of things completely with it. And I know myself, I haven't been, because I've, as I say, had a bit of that going on. But and generally I'm a very healthy person and don't have a lot going wrong anyway.
Right.
So anyway, we've covered what we have to cover, and I just want to get this out there. And all I can say to people who are listening to this and who have listened this far through the thing, share it all over the place, because we want this to get out there. The more it's known about, let's say, I always think that when you blow the lid on it, when you make people aware of it very broadly, it kind of takes their game away, and that's what we're trying to do, is take their game away. Just get this to where so many people know about it that they just go, that's directed energy weapons. We're not going to tolerate this. And what happens when we reach that critical point is you suddenly find that it doesn't progress, and it just doesn't go that way.
Right, I agree with you. Now here's the other thing that I wanted to interject in closing here, Kiwi, is that once we get our technical issue resolved here in the near future, hopefully.
Yep.
I want to bring on Jamie Lee with the plaintruthinfo.com and have him put his 2 cents in worth with regards to directed energy weapons. This guy, he probably knows as much, if not more, than what I do. And I really think that Jamie Lee with the plaintruthinfo.com is going to add a lot more insight than what we've talked about here tonight. And I swear to God, I cannot wait for this third video to take place here in the near future.
Okay? Yeah, that would be great. And just a quick question is, have you been in touch with Billy Hayes recently, or what is he still going? Is he what's happening there? His status?
I haven't been directly in touch with Billy Hayes. I know he's still alive. I know he's still suffering the consequences of the directed energy weapon with regards to HARP.
Yeah.
Because he's known as the HARP man.
Yeah.
So he's still struggling. From time to time, I go onto Facebook to see what's going on when I don't have anything else better to do. And every once in a while, I'll see some of his posts. It has to do with what's happening in his hometown or home state in Kansas, USA. So, hold on. I know he's still kicking, but I know he's also suffering. And, a lot of Freeland alludes to that as well, too, in our communications.
Yeah. Well, big hello and best wishes out there to Billy if you do happen to hear this.
That's good. I hope you. In fact, you know what? Once you post this video, Nigel, I'm going to go ahead and CC Billy Hayes on this as well too. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll appreciate that, and I'll guarantee you, Billy Hayes will have some comments with regards to this video. This guy is absolutely phenomenal.
I know.
He knows more than you, me, or a lot of Freeland.
I know.
When a lot of Freeland wrote a book, he's written a couple of books. Chemtrails, HAARP, and Full Dominance of Planet Earth. And of course, a recent book, An Ionized Sky.
Yeah.
You know, Billy Hayes was behind that, you know, giving her all that information with regard to directed entry weapons and an ionized sky and the use of HAARP, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well. Let's. It's been good talking to you, Rick, and we'll keep in touch. And I'll end this off now. And so thanks for everyone who has, as I say, listened in and kept with it through this whole interview. And we will be definitely making some more videos and so forth. So just keep watching for that. And if you're not subscribed to Weather Wars International Facebook page, definitely get subscribed. We have a YouTube channel which is Global Weather Wars News, and yeah, that's really it.
Okay, Nigel, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Okay.